Previously on Combat School. The enemy is everywhere. Soldiers get a crash course in Taliban stealth.
Hands up! Make sure he's not the suicide bomber.
They're in the home stretch of training before they confront the real deal in Afghanistan. Mike Company is fighting short-handed.
Get ready to fight, get ready to fight.
They're still making mistakes.
Sir!
What?
Hill! I can kill him!
Well, shoot him!
And they've only got 3 more days to get it right. For the soldiers of Mike Company, it's mission critical. They've spent months preparing for the war in Afghanistan. Now, they face one last test before shipping out.
Just take off and give her. All right, you got to.
No one is more under the gun than Company Commander Major Cale Oberworth. His own last test did not go well. Insurgents caught Oberworth's men riding high in their hatches.
I'm taking part somewhere.
2 soldiers were killed, including his sergeant major.
Get your heads down! I got capped!
Sakes. Anytime someone's killed in this vehicle, I take personal responsibility for that, and I take it pretty seriously. I'm the one who tells the driver where to go, and I'm the one that tells the gunner where to point the cannon.
Oberworth's got one last chance to pull it all together before he leads almost 200 men into the real war.
Okay, gents. This is our last collective training exercise before we go to Afghanistan. So if you can't motivate yourself for this, let's motivate every one of our soldiers and let's knock it out of the park, okay?
Oberworth's boss, Lieutenant Colonel Roger Barrett, knows that ending training with a big bang will boost morale before they face the Taliban for real.
This here, Cale, yours to crack.
One bit of good news for Oberworth.
Wait.
In the final training battle, he'll operate with all 4 of his platoons for the first time in almost a week. One platoon is returning from exile. They were stuck on guard duty after a disappointing performance in an earlier battle.
All right, let's go. Let's mount up.
Now they're back and determined to shine. But the platoon's still not operating at full strength. Their commander, Captain John Cox, went home for a family emergency. Warrant Bruce Rodenizer has stepped up to lead the platoon.
See the smile on my face?
Yes. It's a permanent grin. Turn that frown upside down.
After nearly a week in exile, one platoon is rusty. So the trainers have planned a drill, and Big Brother will watch every move.
My understanding is the helicopter will be on the ground for about 5 or 6 hours.
The scenario. A mechanical failure has forced a Chinook helicopter to make an emergency landing.
Okay, there was an actual mechanical malfunction with it, so they put her down here, and they're off in the woodline right now.
One platoon's job is to protect the chopper until it's fixed and back in the air.
How's the cordon over there? It's good. It's okay.
A reconnaissance team has spotted suspicious figures in the distance and sends word to Rhodey.
Cover from the northeast. They're dismounted. Looking at it as a possible threat.
Rhodey pushes his men further out to get a better look.
Chad, probably put somebody on that high feature there.
But the scenario's about to get more complicated.
Okay, here comes the other aircraft.
Another helicopter approaches, carrying the mechanics needed to repair the downed Chinook. Now, Rhodey and his men have to protect them too.
Make sure they land in the center. They should be able to touch down.
The mechanics make a dash for the grounded chopper. That's when the soldiers spot someone lurking in the brush. Looks like those suspicious figures are closing in.
Keep your eyes open!
Hey, reference the cat on the trees. Straight directly to my front. You can see him in there. Like, he's on the far side of the tree line. He's standing there now.
I don't see anything right now.
Before he makes another move, Rhodey needs to know, is the guy in the woods armed? He calls for a sniper.
Hey, Chad, whereabouts are you?
If the sniper can see an armed insurgent with his telescopic sight,
I want you to try to identify this target for me.
it might all end with a single shot.
If I don't have to mortar the hell out of something, if I can just take it out with the sniper, I'll take him out with the sniper.
But before the sniper can determine if there is a weapon, the guy in the bushes makes his move.
Okay, can you identify the target there?
One platoon fires back. And Rhodey decides to call in a heavy weapon.
A 60 mil, give me 2 rounds into that tree line, see if we can shake him up.
The M19 60mm mortar is a crude but effective weapon. It can lob shells close to 2 kilometers and can fire at high angles into well-protected hostile zones, like the woods up ahead.
1 round, HE, charge 1, fire! Mortars in the air! Fire!
As his men blast away, a trainer aims his God gun at Rhodey. The weapons effect simulation system kicks in, telling Rhodey he's been injured. He's not wearing eye protection, and now he's busted on the technicality.
You can walk, you can talk, you're in extreme pain, you cannot see a thing.
Okay.
Okay, start acting.
Ah! So reminder, take over. I've been wounded in the eyeballs.
What's that?
Just like that, Sergeant Jamie Lewis finds himself in charge.
Rhodey's been hitting the eyeballs.
Ah!
Rhodey's performance is over the top.
I'm in pain. Ah!
But for training, it does the job. Everyone responds as if it's real.
I need a T-triple-C over here. Over here! Okay, he's got an iron juice shrapnel in the eye. Both eyes?
Yeah, because I wasn't wearing my goggles.
A hardcore reminder for one platoon. Forgetting the basics can put your comrades in danger, especially when there's unfinished business.
Just be vigilant walking through there, and be prepared to come under chance contact.
The men of 1 Platoon Mike Company guard a downed Chinook helicopter, alert for a second enemy attack.
Just be vigilant walking through there, and be prepared to come under chance contact.
A sweep of the nearby brush confirms their job is done.
They're both dead, guys. They're both dead.
0-5, 2 enemy dead.
The platoon has passed the test.
The good guys beat them back. They did all their drills well. They swept well. They got a really good cordon here. This is a very secure site. It's been a very successful mission.
The repaired Chinook and its crew make a safe departure. Back at the base, the mission's leader, Warrant Rodenizer, is bitter about getting busted on a technicality.
Yeah. I blame it all on the umpire, 'cause I was winning.
The trainers have made their point. Even if you are winning, you'll pay the price if you forget basics like eye protection in the fog of war.
I am really angry with him. Well, it's stuff that he's preaching that we should be doing in our training.
But Rhodey's injury was the only glitch. The platoon gets high marks for everything else and is ready to rejoin Mike Company for the final battle. Big Brother's bad guys are already busy preparing the scenario in an area known as Deriskal, an abandoned slaughterhouse surrounded by Quonset huts. This was once a village. Now it's a Taliban stronghold. No friendly locals here, only enemy, armed to the teeth. Major Oberworth knows this final battle will be all guns blazing. The biggest show of firepower yet, from both sides.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure the company will be very excited to lay the smackdown.
But first, a little personal business.
Today is Mother's Day, everyone. Did you call your mothers?
I'm trying.
Okay, you should stop right now and call your mother.
She's screaming.
This poor woman.
Hey, Derek, little message for your mom.
Hey, Mom, love you. Stay safe.
Happy Mother's Day.
Get off me, Miranda.
Sam Miranda plays the clown to boost morale, including his own.
Give me a kiss. No, get away from me.
His mother has Alzheimer's, and in recent months, it's gotten worse.
¿Cómo está?
He calls his dad to find out how she's doing.
Mamá, ¿cómo está?
He hasn't told her he's going to Afghanistan. It's a family secret.
¿Qué va? ¿Qué va? I told him. I go make sure if it's Mother's Day and make sure, you know, she gets the message. She wasn't around. But he was happy to hear from me.
We've got a solid, simple scheme maneuver that will work. This is our chance to finally strike back.
The big battle is 28 hours away, and one platoon is itching to get into the action.
1-1, where are you going?
Northeast, sir.
Excellent.
Sergeant Lewis, the platoon's second in command, adds a mortar to his wish list.
So 60 mil we can use if required?
I don't know what's the deal there, Guns.
You have to let me know you're going to do it before you do it.
I know you're trying to use 60 in every action on this exercise. It's good, I like it, because you like to put pressure on me, but let's stick to the guns for now. And if you need it for self-defense, then obviously we'll work something in.
Self-defense is a last resort. It's offense that Oberworth is counting on, starting with a massive air and artillery strike to cripple the enemy.
The first two 2,000-pound bombs fall on 6-0 Alpha at 1430 hours.
The attack requires split-second accuracy, a job that falls to the forward observation officer, Captain Corey Gillis.
I know exactly where everybody is at all times. So if the infantry's going to make a strike on a target area, when they're moving into place, they want rounds and an effect at a certain time. I do the coordination required.
One minor miscalculation, and the whole operation can fall apart.
You got to make sure the engineers are tied in properly, and that your gunners are tied in properly. And without that, you got nothing. Just a good plan. That may not work.
Oberworth's plan. Right after the air and artillery strikes, he'll launch a ground assault from the south, where most of Mike Company has been waiting outside the enemy's field of view. Meanwhile, one platoon has been attracting their attention from a position in the northeast, a feint. Their mission is to cut off any escaping insurgents, then move in at the end of the battle to seize the last of the buildings.
This is our chance to destroy the enemy, okay? And kill them so we don't have to fight them some other day. Remember we kept saying, well, if we lose them, we get them another day? Tomorrow's the day. Tomorrow's the day we get them. That's all I got. Let's have a good fight.
Probably one of the most exciting 2 hours you can expect as a soldier. It's the pinnacle of all your training, is to go in and kinetically, with lethal effects, take out the enemy.
In order to get to Daraskol, Oberworth has to travel through Tanachoy, the village his soldiers helped liberate a few days ago. He's pulled the last of his troops out of the village because he needs them for tomorrow's battle. So that's where the opposing force, Big Brother's bad guys, plan to spring their first trap, even before the battle begins.
We'll seize Tanachoy and cut their lines of communication. If they don't leave anybody behind and they pull forward, right, we're gonna give them a little nasty surprise.
As darkness descends, insurgents start sneaking toward the now unguarded village. And these guys are only the first nasty surprise Oberworth will face tomorrow. D-Day. In the mock hamlet of Daraskol, a hornet's nest of enemy role players prepares to fight to the death. And Major Oberworth gears up for the mother of all training battles.
That area until he's secure and good to go in the village itself.
For today's event, no resource will be spared. F-18 Hornets from CFB Cold Lake will stage a mock airstrike. Tanks and engineers will be in full force. And trainers will simulate the effects of heavy artillery. The M777 howitzer.
Yeah, well, that's not far from us at all.
No, it's about 500 meters northeast of us. You don't want to
Captain Corey Gillis, the forward observation officer, will be calling the shots just as if the shells and bombs were real.
Okay, troops, get over there. The OC wants to talk to us.
Today is the last thing we're probably going to do together before we get into this for real. The area that we're going in today is an abattoir. Okay, can anyone tell me what an abattoir is? It's a slaughterhouse, okay? In the last few Wainwright exercises, its name has held true for the combat teams that have gone in there. Okay, so my intent is to stick to the plan as best as we can and get in there and turn this into an abattoir for the enemy. Let's have a good fight. All right, here we go.
One platoon heads north, according to the battle plan. Major Oberworth and the other 3 platoons prepare to move east toward Tanachoy. A team of combat engineers travels ahead to clear a minefield. As they approach Tanachoy, they spot groups of men hanging around the village. All part of the trainer's plan to throw Mike Company off its game.
We'll seize Tanachoy and cut their lines of communication. Right, we're gonna give them a little nasty surprise.
The engineers don't miss a beat. They report back to the OC.
919 sent over.
Now it's up to Oberworth to decide what to do. His boss is watching closely to see how well he thinks on the fly. He has to decide.
Carmichael, my map. Okay, fellas, want in here?
Either proceed with Plan A and deal with any insurgents that might be lying in wait, or find another way to Daraskol. That would mean rerouting 140 soldiers and their vehicles.
Send that marking out.
Oberworth decides it's not worth risking an ambush.
Intuitively, I would be wrong to go through there right now.
He sends 2 platoon ahead to find an alternate route around Tanachoy.
But up here, I think it's probably worse than down here.
Yeah.
Could be challenging.
There's been 2 changes, sir.
Oberworth briefs his boss, Lieutenant Colonel Barrett.
So what I've done is I've pushed out call sign 1-2 to the south here to find me a route so I don't have to go through the village. Because I don't want to get stuck in here with a combat team, all these minefields and everything else pissing around.
Okay.
All right, sure.
Talk, have a good one.
Yeah, let's have a good fight. I know the guys are charged, so.
Absolutely.
Oberworth has outmaneuvered Big Brother's bad guys, but his relief won't last long.
1-1 Beaver, Echo 4-4 Bravo, loud and clear. Rock and roll.
One platoon is right on task, moving along the northern route toward Dariskal.
Here we are, the back of the last pack from the Sour East. Getting ready for battle. I'm getting a little anxious to get into battle, get this weapon firing.
When one platoon gets into position, they'll be in full view of the enemy. This will create a diversion, and the insurgents will be cut off if they try to escape. But suddenly, an unexpected roadblock. This isn't a special effect set by the trainers.
Fire everywhere. Smoke everywhere you look.
Yeah, everything just looks like it's on fire.
It's a real forest fire, and it's out of control.
I'm just trying to get my mind around this. You don't believe that there's any way that you're going to be able to maneuver down that black path over?
The base will put out the fire, but a key part of Oberworth's plan has gone up in smoke. He's forced to regroup again.
Call sign 1-1 is going to link up with us there, and we're going to establish a full-on combat team assault.
He has to reroute one platoon to join the rest of Mike Company in the south. That means he's been robbed of his strategic advantage in the north. Without one platoon's eyes on the enemy, the entire company is now heading blind into battle. A forest fire has forced Major Oberworth to reroute one platoon just as the battle is about to begin. Now all 4 platoons will have to attack from the same direction, south of Dariskal. Near the abandoned abattoir, Big Brother's bad guys scan the sky. As F-18 fighter jets wait for their signal to attack.
That's how they're going to finish this, eh? High altitude bomber?
Yeah, 500-pound bomb.
Yeah.
On Oberworth's command, Captain Corey Gillis will bring on the air and artillery fire.
30 seconds.
The strategy: wipe out as many insurgents as possible from a safe distance before the ground assault begins.
Just stop where you are, bring fires down the objective area. We're on a go, 3-1. Our first bombs will drop at 1435. Over.
What? Fire! What? Fire! Fire!
It's time for Oberworth's ground assault. He doesn't know yet how many insurgents have survived the air and artillery attack. One platoon will wait until the rest of Mike Company secures the abattoir and 2 of the Quonset huts. Then, Rhodey's men will launch a final assault, but from the same direction as the rest of the company, not what they rehearsed. Turns out, the area is still swarming with insurgents, skulking inside the abattoir and in the bombed-out Quonset huts.
They missed both our IEDs.
We had movement in the building to the right of our objective. We're engaging that target, over.
Other insurgents are fighting in the open.
I want you, we've got enemy in this low ground directly to my right. Wait. That's right. 2 times confirmed enemy kills. I've got Bravo moving through there now to confirm that they're dead. Over.
Oberworth calls the shots from the perimeter.
IC at 1455 hours. All of our call signs maneuvering to get a foothold just to the north of the dugout area.
Lavs and tanks surround the village. They're tightening the noose. The closer they get, the more likely the enemy will lock Oberworth's soldiers into their sights.
Early. Right in front of us.
They dismount. And move in on the first Quonset hut.
Call sign 1-4 has gained access to a building at Bravo, and he is breaching now.
Then the second building. Both are empty.
Buildings Charlie and Bravo are now clear. Over.
2 buildings down, 2 to go. Next, the assault on the infamous abattoir.
Let's stack up! Go!
Next door in the third Quonset hut, enemy gunmen are watching.
There's a whole bunch of dismounts right there.
We are breaching 60 Alpha now. We're taking fire from 60 Delta. Over.
Time for Oberworth to bring in another of his heavy-hitting assets, the tanks.
Tango 1-2, this is 1-9er. If you can suppress building at Delta.
Inside the abattoir, they find 3 enemy dead.
These 2 are dead.
And 1 wounded.
Are you hurt anywhere else?
But inside the third Quonset hut, the enemy is still standing.
We made lots of fire on building Delta, but the pesky little critters won't die. Over.
Now, it's finally one platoon's turn. That last Quonset hut is their target.
1-1, that's 1-9er, move on your target building now. Charlie, Echo, launch.
As the platoon moves in, a communication snafu.
Karam, are you in that building yet? Once a night.
Some soldiers think the hut's already been cleared.
1-1 Charlie, you can bypass the building. Have you cleared? 1-1, this is 1-1 Charlie. Do you want us to re-clear that building?
All that last-minute regrouping after the forest fire has thrown some of them off their game. Warren Rodenizer is losing patience.
1-1, yes. That's your objective. Clearing. Swing your vehicle out. Now impacting around objective Delta. Get ready to breach.
In the fog of war, one platoon makes a deadly mistake. This lav should be pointed nose in to protect the troops. Instead, it backs up directly into the line of fire. Then, the ramp drops.
We are breaching 60 Delta now.
Karam, you got a guy right in the building, bud. Right in the building.
It's called a fatal funnel. As the troops dismount, they're trapped directly in the enemy's sights.
We are taking fire!
By the time Warren Rodenizer realizes what's happening, it's too late.
Charlie's already gone in. Sin's already taken them casually.
Alarms go off in the vests of Private Hilson and Sergeant Bine. They've been killed in the fatal funnel.
Who we got dead over there?
That's Sergeant Bine and Hilson right there.
First man out. Second man out.
A 1-9er, this is 1-1, be advised, Delta and Echo have been taken. We also have suffered 2 times a VSA. Wounded person of interest has been detained. Over.
All right, CCP is south.
The only surviving enemy gunman is escorted out. The final battle is over. The crew commander who put his men in harm's way is bearing the weight of his mistake and holding himself accountable.
I f***ed up. I killed 2 of my guys. I put them in a fatal funnel. Wasn't realizing what I was doing. I simply f***ed up.
For the rest of the platoon, there's an upside. They know it's unlikely he'll ever make a mistake like this again.
He doesn't need to beat himself up as much as what he's doing. Yeah, I understand he feels bad because, in effect, he did get 2 people killed. But it is training still.
They said in the beginning of this exercise that this is where you want to make the mistakes, and we learn from them, so we won't do them in Afghanistan.
For the other side, casualties were massive. The Taliban role players were wiped out. Daraskol is now secure. Mike Company has won the battle.
As it turned out, there were some exercise casualties, and we're working through that. But the enemy, the Taliban, even though they did try and maneuver against us, we had this place locked down. We were able to destroy them in spades.
Major Oberworth has pulled it all together. He's ended 9 months of training with a decisive victory, and all thumbs up from his bosses.
No, that was excellent. A lot of good comments, even from the Taliban, the OPFOR, how you guys maneuver and stuff. Very, very difficult to get you, which is another good sign. So great coordination with the fire plan, the whole 9 yards. So it's all good.
Awesome, sir.
No, it's great, Cale.
But for me, as the combat team commander, to see that type of maneuver happen quickly in a short period of time and have everyone reoriented, regroup with different assets and then attack on the objective, I mean, how could I not be kind of like a proud father?
Starting tomorrow, the troops will prepare for their journey to the real battlefield. But there's still time for refresher training, to say goodbye to loved ones, and for one more soldier to be cut from the platoon. The final round of combat training is over.
The morning after, for sure.
We're done, so everyone's debombing, taking all the ammo out of their mags.
Yesterday's victory against the mock Taliban was painful, but decisive, and it marks the end of 9 intense months.
1, 2, 3!
Jeez. I think this team is strong, and I mean, we've come a long way in 9 months. And yeah, granted, you know, we'll continue to grow and get better when we're in Afghanistan, but I think we're at a really good start state for deployment.
There'll be no more tests, except the one that really counts. From here, it's back to home base at Petawawa, where it all began. A sure sign that deployment is right around the corner. The troops have traded in their green fatigues for desert tans.
We've been training in greens the entire time, and then as soon as we got to tans, you're like, well, holy shit, it's coming up, right?
All that's left now, refresher drills on the firing range. When it comes to knowing your guns, there's no such thing as too much practice.
The man in the compound at the end!
It's also time for the soldiers to put their personal business in order.
A little anger management, that's what that was, Claire. Okay.
On the eve of his 4th deployment, Bruce Rodenizer has made a unique family decision.
I pronounce you husband and wife. Bruce, you make us your bride.
This is the 2nd time around for Bruce and Cindy. They divorced years ago. But as he heads into his toughest combat challenge so far, they've decided to mend their differences.
Keep that up. See, now we got to get a room now, by the way. I have to say, we never stopped loving each other. When we got reconnected and we linked up again with each other, it's just like old times again.
Again.
Major Oberworth has been away on long missions before. His family knows what that feels like. But this tour is different. More danger, much more uncertainty.
You know that Daddy's going away, right?
Uh-huh.
Where am I going?
To Afghanistan.
They're young enough that they don't fully understand what's going on. And I think that's a bit of a blessing. You know, they're not scared. They know that Daddy's going far away for a long, long, long time. We've got the calendar all marked out. But he loves us, and he's definitely coming home.
Bunker in front of wood line.
Captain John Cox has jumped back into his role as platoon commander, and he's barely missed a beat. But when he ships out, he'll be leaving a new family member behind, along with a word or two of warrior wisdom.
Counterinsurgency. Counterinsurgency. Everything's changed now that I have a son at home while I'll be deployed. I think it's going to weigh a bit on my mind, but I've trained a certain way, expecting to act a certain way while we're on tour. So I want to maintain that, because that's what everyone's expecting of me and what I'm expecting of myself.
Sam Miranda's family has organized a send-off.
As I embark my journey to Afghanistan, bringing the family support is winning half the battle. Thank you very much.
Cheers. But one family member is missing the party. Miranda's mom is now in hospital with advanced Alzheimer's. So it turns out she'll never know he's going to war.
Because my mom's not physically, mentally aware of what's happening in her surroundings. It sucks because for me to talk to my mom, you know, it would make me be a happier person going into Afghanistan. And I guess that's not gonna happen.
Number 1, fire!
Corporal Derek Panozzo is back after spending time with his parents. Now, he just wants to get on with the mission.
I'm anxious to get overseas, right? And we could train forever, but eventually it'll just get too much, and you want to get there, so.
10!
But there'll be one more surprise for the soldiers of one platoon. When they leave for Afghanistan, one of their comrades will be forced to stay behind.
I'm really going to miss him, miss everything about him.
The soldiers of one platoon Mike Company now have Afghanistan in their sights.
Officers, hold it!
Departure day is here.
Nobody has close to your training, your expertise. You will win every time. Huh? All right, we'll see you there.
Haunting every soldier, the knowledge that this has been one of the grimmest seasons ever for NATO forces in Afghanistan. In the month before their departure, 7 Canadian soldiers have died.
We never plan to lose soldiers. We always plan to succeed in our missions, but if we do lose soldiers, then we need to have a plan for how we're going to deal with that. I think one of the things we really need to do is kind of steal our hearts a bit.
For the soldiers' families, stealing themselves begins now.
Okay, this is my wife Alicia and our unborn baby.
Trying not to be sad, but yeah, I can do it.
tough leaving these two. Okay?
Captain Cox chose a more private send-off.
We said goodbye at home. We said our goodbye there, and it's time to go.
How's that feel?
It's hard.
I left at 10 to 8. She left at 10 to 8. She went her way, and I went my way. It's just the way I prefer to deal with it.
Family-wise, nobody could have came. They're all back in Montreal. But they got me a nice tattoo. It's still fresh. It says Familia. It's family in Italian.
But one member of the platoon is here to say goodbye, not to his family, but to his comrades. Corporal Derek Panozzo has been cut from the tour. A few nights ago, after a farewell party, he was arrested for drunk driving.
You want to tell me? I don't want to talk about it.
His mistake has cost him everything.
I've done all the training. I've done everything. So I want to go. And it just sucks how something like this happens. It sucks.
Panozzo's been out partying with us before, and he's always been, the designated driver, the guy that says, hey, slow down. It just really caught us by surprise.
I'm really going to miss him. Miss everything about him.
Give you another 5 minutes with your families. After that time, roll call will be done.
Private Aubin! Corporal Austin! Master Burden! Sergeant Vine!
You know what you think about, is he gonna come back? What's it gonna be like when he does come back? Like, the stories you're gonna hear and how it's gonna be, I just can't imagine what it would be like. I can't at all.
The soldiers of one platoon can.
Oh man, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for this day. No idea.
It's everything they've trained for.
The troops are anxious to get into it. About as ready as they're going to be there right now.
I'm ready to go. And it's a weird feeling that I haven't really had before, but there's confidence in it.
The next time their boots touch down, it will be on Afghan soil, in a war zone, where success is measured in increments, and failure can be fatal. In Kandahar province, combat rookies learn the difference between training for battle
Contact left!
and facing the enemy for real.
Off we go, fellas.
One platoon heads into a notorious Taliban stronghold, where their training will be tested in a fight to the death.
Fire for effect! Now, get that
That's next time on Combat School.